Hey guys, it's Scott here from Horse Racing Daily, and tonight I'm going to break down the Preakness and go through, every horse in a little bit of detail. I put out some other videos, with the individual horses, but first I want to take the time to thank everybody that subscribed so far. I've only had the channel for a little over a couple of weeks, and I'm already up to roughly 120 subscribers. So, thank you guys for subscribing, and hopefully I can keep, putting out great content and, winning y'all some money. My goal is to be somebody that, every week before the big race, y'all come to and, want to see what I got picked and, can look with confidence that whatever I say, is going to be, a good bet, and you can go to the track and make some money. But first we'll get into War of Will, and I'll stick by what I said at the Kentucky Derby. And if you've seen my video on that, and I think, at the beginning of the 3-year-old season, he was a very good 3-year-old, but I think in ability, some of the other horses have kind of caught up to him, and I can't go with him in the Preakness. He, finished badly in the Louisiana Derby, but he had that weird little step off at the beginning, plus they were trying to take him a little further back. I don't like the post position because he's going to be inside Warrior's charge, so I think it's going to force him to be a little more closer to the pace than probably what he wants to be, because I don't think he wants to get buried in on the rail. But either way, I just don't see him, winning the Preakness. Yeah, Mark Cassidy had Classic Empire a couple of years ago, but that was a different horse. That was a, favorite. And in the Kentucky Derby, Classic Empire got nearly taken out by Irish War Cry, along with like 6 other horses if you go back and watch the preview that year. And then in the Preakness, he put away Always Dreaming and got ran down by Cloud Computing, but War of Will's no Classic Empire for that year. And second, I want to go into Bourbon War. He's going to be one of my picks that I put a, win bet on. He, broke his maiden last year. Won an optional claiming race by a couple of lengths over Cutting Humor, who came back to win the Sunland Derby. Then the Fountain of Youth, it looked like, if he had just another 20 more feet, if that, he would have won that race over Code of Honor. He came really, really wide. Then the Florida Derby kind of caught a paceless race. And they actually had this horse pointed for the Peter Pan after the Florida Derby. You see, he had been, training in Belmont, and they decided, to take a shot here in the Preakness. So that tells me Mark Hennig has some confidence in the horse. He picks back up, Irad Ortiz, who's a, great jockey. So he's going to be one of my picks, for a win bet, some exactas. Third is Warrior's Charge. It took him, 4 tries to break his maiden. He broke at Oaklawn Park in March, but that was a, kind of a slow-paced race. Didn't really get any kind of pressure, and the field was weak. Then he came back in a 75,000 optional claimer on April 12th, and ran another kind of a slow-paced race. So he's yet to be truly, challenged up front yet. And I don't think the Preakness is the time I want to find out, if he can handle that. So I'm going to take a stand against him. If you like him, by all means, attempt to use him, but I'm not going to be using him. And fourth is Improbable. And I kind of struggle on what to do with this horse, because Baffert has been really good throughout the years about having to turn around from the Kentucky Derby to the Preakness. His horses that don't race in the Kentucky Derby and go to the Preakness, he kind of struggles a little bit. So I do think Baffert sees something in this horse to be able to run in the Preakness. But I'm not sure this horse is going to be quite good enough to win. He just always seems to find an excuse in every race to not win, and he just doesn't get that same Baffert vibe, like American Pharaoh, Justify, Bodemeister, even though Bodemeister did get second in the Preakness. I just don't get that same, like big-time horse. So, I'll probably use him second, some exactas, from in the Superfecta, third and fourth, of course. But I'm going to stay away from him for a win bet. Owen Dale, he's, trained by Brad Cox. And He, looked good breaking, or not breaking his maiden, but winning the 50,000 optional claimer, at the fairgrounds over Frolic-More. Frolic-More is not really a top of a 3-year-old class. And then he came back in the Risen Star first try in Greatest Stakes Company, and didn't really do good at all. Just kind of, he made a little move, in the middle, but then flattened out, really bad. And then came back in the Lexington. If you've seen my video on Owen Dale, the times, even though they might appear slow, the way the track was playing, those were, fast times that day, given the way the track was playing. So Owen Dale kind of caught a fast pace and had the perfect trip on the outside. I'm not going to play him in my win bet or exactas. I'll throw him third and fourth in my Superfectas. Market King, trained by Dwayne Lucas. Dwayne Lucas has had some success in the Preakness before, but I don't think this is going to be one of them. He generally does good with the turnaround from Kentucky Derby to the Preakness. Not so much, sending fresh horses to the Preakness. And this horse hasn't showed me anything at all that says, he can be, competitive enough to win. Then I got Alwaysmining, and kind of went back and forth on this horse a little bit. And the post position is what's going to make me decide to go with him as my other choice for my win bets. He, has been racing on the lead in most of his races. He showed in the Federico Tesso Stakes that he can, rate off the pace a little bit. And I think, with that plus the post, he's going to, be able to be on the outside and kind of sit off Warrior's Charge a little bit. If he was inside, I thought the connection would probably try to send him straight to the front. But, given where he is now, the jockey can kind of, read the race, how they open up. I think he's going to be, sitting just off the pace, probably in the 3 or 4 path. And, in a race where there's so many horses that got a chance, that if they won, I wouldn't be surprised, but there's no true standout. I'm going to take a chance. I don't think Alwaysmining is going to have the 8-1 odds on the morning line. I think he's going to be bet down to 3 or 4 to 1. He's going to be that wise guy horse. But, I get the feeling that he's going to run, a good race. Signal Man, he's my, long shot pick for the Preakness. I'm going to throw him, in some, exactas. He's going to be in all my, superfectas, trifectas. It kind of fits the profile of horses that didn't really do much leading up to the Preakness and, come and run the big race. And most of those that do that are closers. So if you watch that video on Signal Man, it goes into more detail. But he definitely fits the profile of a, horse that can sneak up there at, 20, 30, 40 to 1 odds. Bodie Express. I don't know why they don't put this horse back down in a maiden special weight and get him his win. They keep trying to, race him against horses that are a little bit out of his league. He's not a bad horse. He's probably, belongs more in the, optional claimant type races than, grade 1 stakes races. But that's just my opinion. He hasn't broke his maiden yet. He does pick up John Velasquez, so it's kind of interesting there. But I'm not going to bet him. I don't think he's going to do it, and the trainer needs to get this horse back down in maiden special weight to, get him his win. And Everfast, if you had bet this horse in the Holy Bull, you could have made a killing with him and Harvey Wallbanger, but that's probably the last time you're going to make any money off this horse. Del Romas did have, I believe it was Cherry Wine, 2016, come up and get second from Nyquist at the end. But I don't think, there's too many other closers that I think got better ability than Everfast. I think Romas is just taking a shot here, and it's, I don't see it working out. Laughing Fox, trained by Steve Asmussen. Asmussen did get third with Tenfold in the Preakness last year. So it does show, that he can get a horse ready to run in the Preakness. I don't think Laughing Fox is quite on the same level as some of the other horses, but I do expect him to run a good race and, fill out, you know, third or fourth, he does, you know, get a rider upgrade to Ricardo Santana Jr. So I'm not going to use him from winner exacta, but I'll definitely put him, you know, in third or fourth. Another twist of fate. I think this is a horse that's probably going to be racing up on the lead, just given how his best races have always came when he's been on the lead. He ran in the Sunland Derby and couldn't get to Cutting Humor, who is not one of Pletcher's, you know, top horses. Then, you know, didn't do anything in Lexington when he had that, you know, fast pace to close into. And yeah, it says bothered early and boxed in, but he's not. He wasn't boxed in that bad. You know, he could have overcame that. They kind of sometimes in these comments, like horses that really have traffic trouble, like they don't explain it enough, and then the horses that don't have much traffic trouble, they make it seem like too much. Like bothered early, boxed in. He got boxed in just a tad, but not. He had a chance to break out of that and do something and just didn't. But if you go back to Bodie Express, I'll use this example. 3 wide, taking up at the 5/16 pole. If you watch that race, he wasn't taking up. He got steadied so bad that the jockey had no choice but to take him up. And then win. If this horse won the Preakness, I wouldn't be surprised. He does seem to love the Baltimore track. He's raced good at Pimlico. He's already raced second to Alwaysmining whenever he had that awkward break. Made that nice move to try to get on even terms and just couldn't catch Alwaysmining. And they add blinkers for this race. So I think they're going to get him a little more, you know, into the race. Not on the lead, but, you know, I'm not going to use him. If he did win the Preakness, you know, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. But I'm going to play against him. And that's my take on the Preakness, y'all. Thanks for watching.